Yeah, buddy, y'all know what time it is. I've been wondering this since I bought this card. Could this thing, or should I say, what would happen if I tried to edit a video with it? What would happen if I tried to stream with it? Heck, also, what would happen if I paired it with a graphics card, or should I say a processor that didn't have built-in graphics? Because according to most, what you're about to see in this video isn't at all possible. Now, we're going to start with some Davinci. I'm going to show how long it took to render this video. The video was 9 minutes and 45 seconds long. And I was kind of shocked it did so well. It was equal to my actual main computer. Now, my main computer did this clip in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. This was 4 minutes and 13. Which for like a 9 minute, 45 second video isn't actually too bad. Especially since it was done on a budget computer. Now, currently, y'all are seeing me surf the timeline with an i7 10700. But when I use my Ryzen 5 5600G, I can't see much of a difference. Well, I can't see much of a difference when I only use one track. Now, when I put 5 to 8 videos on there, oh yeah, you can definitely tell the difference with the optimization between the Ryzen 5 and i7. But hey, that's why you pay that extra $150 for that i7 over the Ryzen 5. Now let's get to the benchmarks. This is the part that actually had me kind of shocked, because as you can see, that Ryzen 5 5600G with the 6500 XT, aka the budget build. Well, I guess the Ryzen 5 isn't exactly a budget chip. It's like a mid-range card or whatever. But anyways, as y'all can see, that's what, 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Which is only, what, 13 seconds less than the i7 10700F with the same video card. Now, the Ryzen 5 5600G has built-in graphics, which is why it's probably so close to that i7 with the 29 megahertz RAM. But hey, I'm not going to act like I'm a pro at this because I'm not. But it's kind of amazing that a $200 chip was able to keep up with a $329 one. Now, the integrated graphics from the Ryzen 5 actually helps with the encoding. But at the same time, the i7 was probably a little bit better in this case because it has slightly faster RAM. Even though in perfect conditions, that i7 grade-wise, like tier-wise, should actually beat the Ryzen 5 editing-wise anyway. But as y'all can see, either way you go, you can't go wrong. I mean, what's the difference? What, 13 seconds? Wow, who cares? Like, sure, time is money, but I mean, 13 seconds isn't going to make or break you for the most part. Now we're talking about the i5 10400. Now we have something to complain about because as we can see, it's a minute and 28 second difference. Which kind of makes sense because the i7 does cost $340, while the i5 maybe like $150, about $170 out the tax, which is what I paid for mine from Micro Center back then, which for a 6-core processor isn't bad. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I was to give you that computer as a Christmas gift, I'm talking about currently, like in 2022, you wouldn't complain, right? Nope, you'd just be happy you were able to game on it. I'll play Battlefield 2042, Shinobi Striker, Resident Evil 3 or 2, like, etc. Just check my channel. And guess what? I was always pretty much getting 60 frames per second on medium or even high sometimes, even though this card is meant for like 1080p low to medium. Now, I'm only saying all of that to say this. Unless you're a professional editor, you don't need a fucking 10900K. In my case, I was about to get a 10900KF just to make this video, / it was a better deal than the i7 I just bought and I used for this video. Both costed like $320. But at that point in time, I didn't have a cooler that was able to sufficiently cool the i9. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to upgrade my power supply, even though it's 650 watts, but it's like 2 years old. And when I say upgrade, I don't mean like money-wise, I mean physically getting in my computer. When I first built this computer, well, I didn't build it, I got it off the Facebook Marketplace. When I put the power supply in, the box area was so tight in there. I said, how in the fuck are you supposed to like get these cords in here? Or like my white computer y'all just saw me build or rebuild or bring back life into it. You know, my MSI Commander Snow where everything's open. My AeroCool Sightline RGB, that's the case I use for like my i7. Everything's in there so tight that I don't like it. But anyways, unless you're a professional editor, you don't need that. And if you were to just be trying to play games, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these two computers. You would be happy that you just had something that was able to do what you wanted. You know, for a cheap and affordable price. Like my 6500 XT costed me, I think, $279 or maybe $303 total. It should be no more than actually like 250. That's with tax included, but thanks to COVID, everything's high price. But anyways, that thing hit me for 300. The chip was 200. Cool, that's affordable by today's standards. That i7 alone costed 330. No, actually it costed what, 300. The cooler was $30 too, whatever. But I mean, the i7 alone cost 300. Don't get me started on the RAM and the case and the motherboard and all that stuff. Like, before you know it, you'd have messed around and spent $800 to $1,000 for a budget computer or close to it. Once again, that's thanks to COVID. But before COVID, you were able to build a budget computer for about $400 to $500. If not, maybe even $300 if you found some good used parts off of eBay. But even the oldest processors, they want $200 to $300 for, even though they're worth maybe $25 in the normal market. But I guess that's enough rambling. I'm going to show y'all some Madden gameplay. Keep in mind, everything y'all saw in this video that had 6500 XT on it, including this Madden footage, was recorded with and on the same computer. So if you see excessive stutters or lags or whatever, it's probably because of the weak video card. But at the same time, the fact that it's even possible is amazing to me, because everybody said it couldn't be done. Another thing you should know is this. When I'm not recording with OBS, like, you know, on my 6500 XT computers, well, I guess I should say computer. That's where my Ryzen 5 sits at. Ryzen 5 6500G, that's my little combo, my little budget build. But anyways, when I'm not recording with OBS, I'm getting an extra 10 to like 40 frames sometimes. A whole lot less stutters, you name it. Now, since the 6500 XT doesn't have any encoders, it's going to be up to your processor to bear the load. When you see stutters or something of that nature, same thing when you live streaming. If you live streaming and your streams are always buffering and freezing and glitching or whatever you want to call it, it's because either your processor or usually your graphics card is maxed out at like 99% or even 100. Now, when it comes to this Madden, you're going to see in 4K sometimes, you're going to see a lot of frame cuts and stuff. That's going to be because the processor is either maxed out or the graphics card can't handle everything that's being shown on screen at the resolutions I have it at. If you get stuck in one of those situations, all you got to do, well, what you usually have to do is turn down the settings. That can be from high to low. Well, let me say this right. That could be from high to medium or most likely low. You can change the resolution from 1080 to, let's say, 900p. You can also cap your frame rate at, let's say, I'm going to just say 60 instead of 90. May not seem like a lot. Well, heck, that's 30 frames. If you're a PC gamer, you know that's a lot. But if you cap that mug at 60 when compared to 30, not only would you be generating less heat in your computer, you'll also be freeing up a lot more resources. You may go from using 90% of your GPU to only 50. And what you do with that 50% is up to you. Usually when my graphics card is only hitting 60 on max settings for some reason, I know I can have extra overlays going in my OBS, text across the screen, even though I barely ever do that, or I need to start doing that. I can turn the settings up a little bit to get around that 70 or 80% mark. Like, as long as you're not constantly at 98 to 99%, you shouldn't see any stutters and lag on your live streams or your recordings, if at all. You know, unless the game itself is poopy like Battlefield 2042 was when it released, where, woo, that game was so, man, I don't even want to talk about it. Let me shut up. Yeah, I know there's a lot of rambling, but I'm going to try to get my thoughts on this card. I think I said this in one of my videos. When I first got this video card, well, when I first got this card and I put it in my computer and I couldn't record games, I'm like, what's going on? I thought maybe I put it in wrong or something, even though the screen was popping up. I'm like, hold on. Maybe I got to update the drivers, which I did. I said, maybe I got to restart the computer, which I did. But guess what? No matter what I did, I couldn't use the Windows 10 DVR, Shadow Play, Relive, however the heck it's said. I couldn't do anything. So I said, you know what? Let me try OBS. If OBS doesn't work, I guess this card simply put can't record gameplay. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, before OBS worked, I was kind of mad. And I was thinking of driving back to Micro Center. It's like a 25-minute drive and getting my money back. While also thinking, damn, man, you should have just simply bought the 6600 XT and put that in my main computer, right? And put the 6600 that's currently in my main computer down here. That way I would have had a 6600 XT combo. But then, you know, I ain't gonna. Oh no, I did actually download OBS. I had to download it on this computer because everything was new. Y'all saw me build it. Well, y'all didn't see it. Y'all saw the video, but yeah, I said, you know what? Let me try OBS. Downloaded OBS, and what do you know? I was able to actually record games. Albeit it wasn't the greatest experience with some games because it was stuttering like hell. Like when I record Battlefield with this card, it doesn't stutter for some reason. We all know that game is unoptimized as crap. I'm talking about that thing that had your CPU usage at like fucking 98 while your GPU was only 20. And well, that was 2 months ago. But anyways, the gameplay y'all saw me recording was done through OBS on that computer. The i7 gameplay with the 6500 XT was done on my main computer. And guess what? I didn't see any like stutters or lags for the most part, if at all, while the recorder was going. When it was off, it was like buttery smooth or close to it. Which I'm not gonna lie, had me like straight smiling like I just won the lottery, thinking, bruh, everybody said this car was a piece of shit. And to me, it's not. Well, it's not by it's not by current COVID standards. Now, if you would have made this car in the normal market, I don't think anybody would have bought it. Or this car would have went into laptops like it was supposed to be. But hey, you have a choice. Get an old 1070, which I just sold my old one for $400. You know, you got a choice. Get a 1070 for around $420 or $50, I'm guessing. Or you can get the RX 6500 XT, brand new in box with a warranty for no more than like $310 tops. You know, if it's in stock. Yeah, that 1070 may get an extra, let's say, 15 to 25 frames on some games, but it's 8 years old if I'm right. Hold on, what is that? Yeah, it's about 7 or 8 years old, and we all know you don't get a Corvette to drive it like a Corolla. You get a fucking Corvette so you can hit quarters and stuff. You don't get a 1070 for light gaming. You get a 1070 so you can use and abuse it. Same thing with, let's say, a 1080. We all know you pay $800 or whatever it is, $600 for a reason. Which brings me back to my point. In my honest opinion, if I had to choose between the 1070 and the 6600 XT or 6500, currently, I'm talking about in 2022, where there are no such thing as a new 1070 unless you get lucky. I'm gonna choose the 6500 XT because it comes with a warranty. It's brand new in box. New drivers, it will have a longer support system. The benchmarking tools that comes with it, it's actually pretty fun. You know, like the Radiant software. I use MSI Afterburner at least in these videos, but what can I say? Pick your poison. No matter how you want to cut it, you're gonna be screwed. Like, do you want new and underpowered, or do you want old and powerful that's probably gonna break down within a year? Which normally wouldn't be a problem. You can just get a new cheap car. But thanks to COVID, I don't see prices dropping to where they really should be or even close to it within 2 or 3 years. I'm sorry. So once again, pick your poison. Or hope to get super lucky, because the guy saw my old 972 when I upgraded to my 1070. I paid $200 for each. That's what I usually do. Like my friend told me when I got into PC gaming, when the 2080 comes out, get the 1080 when the 2080 comes out. When the 3080 comes out, get the 2080. Yeah, you're a generation behind, but you're still going to be able to play 1080p 144 hertz or close to it for like $200-300 less than what they pay for the card, and it's still going to be in good condition. But anyways, the kit, I sold my 972 set, it still works, and that was like 2 months ago. But see, I'm not the average user. I probably use that card about 2 hours a night playing Siege with my friends, which they can vouch for me. And I kept it pretty much clean. You know, I made my computer damn near virtually dust-free using my little method I posted on my page. But, you know, I kept the blades clean. Never overclocked it. Never, like, stress tested with, like, Prime 95, if that even, or Cinebench, whichever one it is, or Heaven's Benchmark. You know, I never did anything like that. All I did was do some heavy gaming on it, but only for 2 hours at a time, maybe like 3 or 4 times a week, and called it a day. Now, I admit I never changed the thermal paste on it. I'm guessing he did. But like, other than that, he got a deal for what? I think I sold him that card for $90. which I'm sure he can tell you at that point in time was a steal of a deal because the 1070 was what was popping. He got the 970 for 100, not even 150, but 100. That would be like today's by today's market. That would be equal to you getting a let's say 2070 for about $190, which you're not gonna do. You paying about $500 for that card, sadly. But I just realized I've been rambling for like 16 minutes. Well, probably actually 6. My review on this card. It serves its purpose in the 2022 market. In the normal market, it isn't something you would normally want to buy. But I will say that I was pleasantly surprised when I did put it in my computer and use OBS to record my games and stream to YouTube. And like I was playing Bloody Spell, and I just played Battlefield 2043 on YouTube Live, and it's actually clear at 720p, 60 frames. Which, if this is all I had to use, I wouldn't complain. I know I keep saying it, but I wouldn't. You bought a budget card, so you should expect budget results. In this case, it's actually better than what I expected, now that, I got it working. I was also shocked that it was able to play the games that it did at like medium to high settings with sometimes even 80 to 100 frames at 1080p. I'm like, wow. I did not see this coming because everybody on YouTube was trashing this card. Oh, this card's terrible. It doesn't have any encoders. It can't stream. It can't do this. It can't do that. I'm like, so what the fuck can it do and why did they make it then? Of course, I didn't know any of this stuff before I went to Micro Center. My plan was to buy my computer, just to get a APU computer, a Ryzen 5 5600G. G means it stands for graphics. And I was just going to have that as a editing / living room type of computer. It's just one of those up-to-date, cool-looking computers, but no graphic card in it yet. I was going to put a graphics card in it once the prices went down. But anyways, I eventually went back to Micro Center the next day, and I got the 6500 XT, and that's when I found out I couldn't do none of the stuff. Then I saw everybody trashing, but now that I got it working, I want some of these fat, neck beard, pimple face ass motherfuckers to shut up. Because while it may not be the best at streaming and gaming, or should I say live streaming and recording, it at least allows you to do it. It allows you to get your feet wet. It allows you to actually, hell, even build a computer by today's standards. And not only build one, but actually be able to game with it. Because for the last 2 years, we've all seen the comments on YouTube. Man, I'm still using a 1660. My bad. No, he said I'm still using a 970. I'm like, wow, I couldn't imagine it. I remember when mine started going bad around 2018 when it comes to like gaming performance wise. One dude said he's using a fucking, like, what'd he say? A 960. I'm like, woo. One dude said I simply can't even afford to build one. And that is where this card comes into play. That's all I'm going to say about that. When it comes to editing with this card in my computer, I can't really tell the difference between this and my i7 6600 build. It allows me to edit. Does it have all the codecs or something? I don't know. I'm not really like a editor. But I will tell you this, it allows me to see the timeline cleanly. I can also watch videos in 4K and stuff on YouTube, so I guess that's a pro of it. Live streaming, I've streamed Bloody Spell and, like I said, Battlefield 2042 with little to no hiccups, which you can actually find these videos on YouTube. Just type in Bloody Spell 6500 XT. One huge thing I love about this card is the fact that it's low powered. Like, I've yet to see this mug suck past, if I'm right, 100 watts. My 6600 has sucked no more than 130 tops, from what I've seen on my screen at least. It's also pretty small. Well, there's a 3-fan variant, but most people are probably just going to get the 1 or 2-fan variant because it's a lot shorter and easier to put in your system. Usually less power hungry too. Now the downsides, no encoders, no VRAM. It only has 4 gigs of VRAM. Like 4 gigs of VRAM in 2022 is a problem. No encoders or decoders, whatever they always keep saying, that's a problem. Luckily, your computer can do it, like your processor, if it's good enough. I'm guessing 6 cores and more should do the job. Which ain't nothing but about $150 or $200. Another downside to this card is the fact that it hits you for $310. Now, I know I just praised the card, and I don't regret buying it by today's standards, but we both know I shouldn't have paid more than $220 with tax included for this card, like take home. I don't know if this is a bad or a good thing, but one thing about this card being so called so bad is the fact that scalpers and miners don't want them. So you can actually go to the store and buy one. Like, there's a good chance if you go to your local micro center, they're gonna have them in stock. Try that with like anything worthwhile. 6600, nope. Fucking 3070, nope. Good luck with that. But since this card is so called so bad, you can actually get your hands on it at least. And when you do, you are gonna be able to actually play games on it. Which I know keeps saying shock me, but yeah, you can actually play some games on it. Ooh, I almost forgot to tell y'all this, and I'm sure y'all probably know it anyway, but there are only 2 outputs on the back of this video card. It uses a display port and an HDMI. Now, if you're like me where you run a 1 monitor setup, it doesn't matter. But if you're running 2, whoo, you're going to have a problem. You're going to be probably a little pissed off, and I don't blame you. Because this thing was released in 2022 with only 2 outputs. That's kind of sad, I'm not going to lie to you. Well, this video is finna end. I was kind of surprised how decent this card is at 1440p. My main monitor is only 1080p, so I can never test out those settings. But on this TV that goes up to 4K, I put this I'll be playing most of these games on 1440p, and like it actually works. Like, you probably only lose, let's say, 10 frames compared to 1080p. So if you're somebody with a 1440p monitor and you don't mind playing on low, you're all set to go. Or at least you have a shot at it, I should say. But hey, if you made it this far, whoo, you the real MVP. Please like the video, share it with your friends, because I think this is the only video on the web as of now showing what happens when you put a processor with no integrated graphics with a graphics card that doesn't have any encoder or decoders or whatever it's called. And from what we just saw, it does actually work. And it doesn't seem to be much worse than like a so-called actual system, you know, with everything you so-called want and need. But I'm gonna fuck with you.
You're witness to the manifestation of humanity's rage.